All right, looks like we are all set. Welcome back, everybody. Good morning. How's everybody today? And as always, it's Tuesday, the 17th of January in 2023. My name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. Let's go ahead and get right into it. We have a shorter trading week this week. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed the time off from the marketplace uh, based around MLK Day on Monday. So, given we have a shorter trading week, we're expecting a few simple, I would guess, results based on that. As we often do on Monday, we're going to start off with the SPX expected move. And what we'll notice for this week is that our expected move is going to be slightly lower. That's mostly a consequence because of the shorter trading week, but we also have a little bit of a split of risk, given that it is a monthly expiration across a lot of the index equity products. Usually for the SPX in particular, some of the open interest is split between an AM and a PM expiration series. So what that'll look like for anyone who is using this type of method, you'll see two different January 20th series. One of them, of course, marked AM, and then, of course, our weekly expiration, which closes at the market close shortly after on Friday. So as always, we're going to take the Friday expiration and we're going to use that expected move for our valuation, which currently comes in at about 65.40, so plus or minus 65 points in the SPX. Now, I didn't get a chance to mark these manually this morning, but I think most of us can calculate from our close on January 13th, we closed at approximately 39.99. Market essentially rallied back to the 4,000 print. We had a very minute, pullback into the close, and plus or minus 65 points would indicate that the SPX is pricing a move either back up to pretty close to where we rejected back in December, about 40.65 if we're extrapolating the upper bound, and then a move back down in the case of some volatility to the downside of about 39.35. So we're going to go ahead and mark those for tomorrow's session. I'll just have the rounded numbers marked off as we usually do. But all in all, this is kind of where the box of risk lies this week, along with evaluating how did last week's performance look. Because if we're in a marketplace that is relatively efficient, we should be seeing these types of levels be respected, aka the price activity for the most part should remain inside of this range. And if it doesn't, or if we start seeing sessionary breaches outside of the expected move, then we know that volatility is likely to increase in the future. Markets typically want to stay efficient, and if they start to breach, that's when volatility pricing starts to go back to the upside. So the question is, how efficient was last week's session? If we notice where the upper boundary of the expected move was last week, about 39.93, we'll notice that most of our top-end trade ended around this price. Certainly, there was a little bit of mild breach on Thursday, but you'll even notice that there was a little bit of a shakeback right here. And this is where, some trading participants might be seeing sort of the weird price activity, simply because the market is comfortable inside of these volatility ranges. And usually when markets price to these boundaries, they're often going to trade sideways more often than not. They want the risk to basically start to unwind, and some of that gamma expression starts to lower throughout the session, especially if it's near the end of the week. So just wanted to note both the price activity around these levels. It's not really support and resistance. It's more about where the option market sort of tapers off. And when we get to those regions, if the market pulls back in or stays inside, there's no real hedging that needs to take place as price continues. But if it does, that's where you get some more violent type of trade, and usually trending and hedging type trading starts to kick in, simply because the market priced one thing and the price activity is confirming or denying it. A breach would be more on the denial of that expected move. So we're going to look at last week as potentially a market that is trying to be more efficient. We're going to look into this week, which is a shorter week, and see if it can remain efficient. Can the market continue to respect these boundaries, or are we going to go back into a period of inefficiency, which we've seen throughout October and November, with not only lots of breaches of expected move, but additionally very wide expected move boundaries. The price activity was pricing in more like 100 points every single week, which is pretty volatile. So as we get comfortable with that, let's go into some levels of interest. Obviously, a lot of traders are using the SPY as opposed to the SPX, so I often like to just reevaluate things using the ETF product. And I think for the most part, every trader knows and should have this type of trend line on their chart. It's a very simple one. It responds quite well to the extreme highs throughout this bearish channel in 2022. And for the most part, it's been where bulls should be getting out, understanding that the risk is highest at these levels, especially since we've seen lots of reversion. We've come back in and even sometimes breached the new lows throughout 2022 as this channel has remained intact. Now, the irony of channels, I think in a technical sense, is that once you know where it is, through 2 to 3 tags of price activity, oftentimes the next one is going to be the one that fails, aka the channel is structured and then the next attempt is the one that's going to breach. This isn't always true. Of course, a channel can last as long as price activity remains consistent, but I often find it to be sort of the theme of a channel. And what we're noticing here is that the bulls have a structural difference in how this test is taking place. For one, we didn't necessarily sell off to fresh lows. So the perception of price activity here is that while we are at the structural resistance, we're looking for some sort of break of structure in regards to how the S&P is trading through price. The easiest claim to that break of structure would be simply to break out of this weekly downtrend, aka form the first indication that this is no longer our trend line of respect. Anytime we notice divergences in price, I think anytime in this case we're not making a fresh low, that opens the door for this breakout to have room to travel. Oftentimes we want to talk in terms of extensions. So something as equivalent as the low to high trade that we saw in October would be, sort of the projected ideal for such a breakout. But even more so, the bulls don't have to make as much distance in regards to where they're trying to go. Essentially, a lot of risk is now elevated back into a higher low level. We know that if the market were to, let's say, lose 380, then we know something is wrong with this picture, and the breakout idea doesn't really have as much leg to stand on. But all in all, this is sort of the technical outlook for the S&P, and it's probably the highest time frame outlook that we're trying to extrapolate. We're understanding that last Friday was also a very mild close over the 200-day moving average. This has occurred before, but in previous attempts, we've seen failure or just a lot of additional price volatility. And then, of course, we got completely rejected from this attempt back in December through FOMC and the CPI. So there's notable technical levels that are obviously being tested. We are looking at this attempt to maybe have the structural components to push further. And I think optimistically, if we see continuation, we would be extrapolating a target. The simplest target that I could kind of give would be the ABC approach. But additionally, I think if you're on a high time frame like this, you can start to look at fibs. And one thing that's been notable is where has the S&P stopped selling so far? That has been so far anchored to the 50% retracement, which means that throughout 2022, from lows of COVID crash to the all-time high, we did pull back 50%. This bounce, of course, trying to make room for something that's going to be equivalent to sort of the reversion of that type of trade. And in this case, you'd have to start to anchor from the all-time high, expecting this low to hold, and then understanding where could the bounce go. You know, if you think of the high to low from all-time highs and from our October low, the technical structure indicates that 50% to the upside could be in the cards. But as we've seen, we did get initially rejected somewhere in the 40% region, and this ABC would likely complete, you know, that type of symmetric trade. Additionally, if we're looking at where could the market test, if we're breaking out of a lower high pivot on the weekly, the 61.8% would lead us back to about 430 SPY. And this is sort of the optimistic bullish target that I think most technicians are going to start to evaluate. There's probably going to be a lot more discussion about this type of setup throughout things like YouTube and just people starting to discuss that opportunity. It has the components for it, and I think it's worth mentioning because if you are still looking bearish in this market, we're seeing some forces against that position. We're obviously seeing price start to recover, but the types of sectors that are leading right now are more or less risk on. There's been a little bit of profit taking in defensive. There's been more price recovery in cyclical and growth, you know, tech and discretionaries, for example. And there's been sort of a stall in some of the inflationary names, albeit we'll talk about what could be changing in the near term for some of that. Now, I think with most things, we would want to also confirm some of that price behavior in the NASDAQ. I've gone ahead and marked just two price levels that I think are the most important. And they're not necessarily coming from recent price activity. They're coming back from historical ranges. You know, this one is expanded. I probably don't need the full left extension here, but I would want to anchor it to about this high. What you'll notice is the lows, which were printed, that was not even perfect either, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there. The lows that were printed match up with some of the consolidation back in 2020, right before we ended our electionary cycle. The high of the bounce also corresponds with the lower high of the consolidation once again back in 2020. So obviously the NASDAQ has retraced further because this drawdown from COVID low to at least current lows has been 61.8%. But similar to the argument in the S&P, because the retracement in price was lower, there gives the opportunity of more room on price recovery. Once again, if it is symmetric in nature, we could see something as high as a retracement back to 61.8, just kind of mimicking the end of the correction in the case of the bullish argument, and seeing another upthrust all the way back to some of the July, August levels that would be, equal to the S&P, along with 61.8, which would be very optimistic because we'd start to see the same prices as October of 2021, basically right before the bullish uptrend ended. And that would be obviously a very opportunistic type of trade if that were to ever take place. So keep those bigger time frame and some of the concepts in mind, because as a day trader or even as a swing trader, you may want to evaluate just sort of what sort of room the market has to move, along with understanding what forces are at play right now. Until we see a change, we expect those forces to basically continue with a little bit of volatility in between. But for the most part, we expect recovery and trends of this nature to kind of continue until we see a change. We want to confirm something is over before we assume where it's going to end. So some things that can kind of confirm that for us are going to be baked around our risk elements. I continue to like to use these because they can somewhat give you the yay or the nay as to whether a rally will hold and whether or not you should join the rally on something like a higher low pullback, or in the case of maybe countering the rally, looking for one of those risk signals to kind of confirm that it's going to eventually revert. And we've seen a lot of reversion last year, so I think that type of trade mentality still remains. The question is it the right approach for 2023? So some things that I'm noticing that are more in the bullish camp: high yield corporate debt, HYG, or something like J&K, are doing the equivalent of V reversals on the December pivot. So the highest print in December, we've seen reversion back into a new swing low, just relative to the previous sort of grind that got us there. And then, of course, now we're seeing V recovery. So price has reverted back to these levels. And anytime I see that, the market itself, especially the S&P, has a tendency to lag this particular technical outlook. Oftentimes, corporate debt will lead in regards to price, reassessment, any sort of levels of interest, and especially if it's a dated level, that's very important. Obviously, I'm indicating that December 13th is a pretty important price. HYG has recovered it. Now, obviously, we could see a stall, a little bit of resistance, something as very simple as a retest of the 200-day from above. But note what's happening here. We're starting to get outside of a sloping down 200-day moving average, which means that if price were to hold and even pull in, this MA starts to flatten out just due to the nature of how it's calculated. And what that will allow is some of the short and medium term moving averages, so some of the trends that most of us want to participate in, it'll allow them to catch up with price. In that sort of confluence, and maybe even the crossing of these moving averages, we might be starting to see early signs of new types of trends, especially ones that are often defined by MAs. This would be, of course, the first time this is happening since we got into this phase of correction back in 2021. The real signal I think that a lot of people missed early on was that corporate debt was starting to trade under the 200 period as early as October. Even though the S&P was making new highs, it was divergent in regards to no confirmation in risk on corporate yield. So that was an early signal that things might be starting to shift. And of course, it was a divergent signal because price still had made a new high in the S&P. So be on the lookout for some of that reclaim on the S&P based around how this is more of a leading indicator more often than not. It tends to lead how the S&P performs. The dollar. Next sort of kind of feather in the bull's cap right now. We're still seeing plenty of weakness throughout the dollar's collapse from its recent rally. These are, of course, monthly, weekly outlooks. We are, of course, parabolic in nature due to how this is correcting. There are some notable levels to keep on watch. I would have expected the monthly support area to hold a bit better. We're seeing collapse of that as well. So, it stalled out for maybe a month, a week at most. There's a little bit of a hold there. But as long as the dollar is still in a period of decline, I think that can remain somewhat easy to say bullish equities. The inverse correlation still kind of remains where we're seeing lows and highs very closely correlate to highs and lows on the dollar, inversely correlated, of course. The levels on watch, since the monthly highs are not holding, I would start to watch some of these demand zones in some of the deeper retracement regions. And then, of course, our swing low before we broke out. This was equivalent to some sort of back test area before the dollar started its breakout. All of this is close enough to where we need to be a little bit on guard, but ultimately what I'm starting to see here is this may become a bit of a future issue for the market in regards to how commodities are priced. There might be another commodity bull sort of demand appreciation type run in commodity pricing. For the most part, that brings up the inflationary theme once again. So whether the market responds to that, we'll need to see that in the future. But keep that in watch, because I think if you're going to be taking some maybe like multi-day to week type trades, you want to have these elements continue on their trip. Very simply, as long as the dollar keeps selling off, you can kind of stay in a position of maybe looking higher in the S&P and maybe targeting some of those pivots that we just discussed. 10-year rates, this would probably be a neutral for me. We're seeing respect of the lows, and we're also seeing some price compression in something like a TLT. You could do it also in IEF. It's the same basic argument here, where we're not necessarily, and actually this one looks to be about broken out at this point. So maybe not in IEF, but TLT, for example. Bonds are still leading right now. If you're anchored to the beginning of the year, bonds have outperformed. There's been better performance in bonds, at least over the past couple weeks. All that said, there are periods here where we're probably starting to build a little bit more of a case of that stage one economic contraction. Doesn't necessarily mean stocks have to go down, but I think we're still going to see a lot of volatility based around how the rate sensitivity of the market performs. So anytime there's a very clear high or very clear low in bond markets, I would expect similar reactions in the equity marketplace. But I also believe that this is not necessarily the force that's going to drive trade moving forward. There might just simply be more or less bond outperformance for the next couple of, hopefully quarters in this case, if the stage one argument is to kind of take hold. But equities can perform too. It's not that equities go down during that period. They're just not going to be as attractive. They will have a little bit more back and forth, and the argument of more volatility to come in 2023 is kind of the main thing. Whereas, at least if this is a confirmed thesis, bonds for the most part should be uptrending. We should be seeing a lot of these start to break out, and like most things, we want to get over the 200. That's going to be sort of a proving ground for most bond products. It also puts up a caution here, because if you are just trading bonds, be on the lookout where very classic TA sort of rejections tend to form. I think as a trader, you might want to start to look at being a buyer, but being a buyer in the right location. It's not about just being a blind long inside of these products. The main argument here is that they're built to outperform over, the next quarter or so. So that's going to be a bit neutral. The last argument here is one for the bears. And I think this is one that's been a little spotty in regards to how it's been traded, but we're seeing, basically the floor levels of the VIX as of late. For 2023, we did close at a fresh low on Friday. Very kind of classic. The S&P did close outside of the 200 for the first time on the weekly since December. Or actually, I'm not sure if the December close was outside, but anyway, fresh low in the VIX on Friday. This is also where VIX volatility can start to pick back up, aka tends to be the inflection point for this indicator. All of it still simply being the 30-day volatility for the SPX. So it's not about necessarily the highs and the lows here. It's about, are we going to see volatility remain subdued throughout a period of bullish outperformance? If the answer is no, volatility will often disrupt trend structure and start to break apart any sort of risk elements that we can use through price. Usually volatility is what gets people shaken out of the market. They just can't handle the range expansion and oftentimes the back and forth type of trade. We're not seeing that yet, but if it were to occur, these would be the price levels I would expect. So the on guard approach is still intact here, because if we start to see earnings, especially some of the big tech earnings, which are coming later next week, this is where I'd expect some hedging to occur. In the short term, that can be just a binary event. But if that starts to kick back in with the earnings expectations being high relative to what's provided, or if we start to see a lot of economic disruption in future outlook for the earnings, that can really break apart the model, even though it's technical in nature, of what to expect for the next couple of weeks. Because we're entering into earnings, a lot of the technical structure is at risk. Volatility can kind of shake that apart. But for now, bulls have the trend. It's a very minor trend for now, but they are trying to push outside of a weekly setup for the first time since last year. And there's a lot of things in this market that are leaning more towards that element, especially the corporate debt side. I think that's kind of the big linchpin of why are we seeing that type of recovery as of 2023. So for now, keep that element in mind. Remember how to trade some of those types of price activities. Pullbacks offer the good risk to reward for continuation. But all in all, look for the type of confirmations, and then in this case, a little divergence as we enter into the earnings week for 2023. So with all that said, my name is Jared. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. I'll showcase some strategies to get into these types of runs that are going on the downside. And for the most part, we'll talk about risk definition for earnings since we're getting started. So trade safe, and we'll talk more tomorrow.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market Prep. I hope you're having an amazing morning. Hopefully, you guys had an incredible 3-day weekend. Good morning, Norm. Hope you're feeling better today, my friend. I know last week
Hey,
you was
good
a
morning, brother.
little bit under the weather.
I don't know, maybe a little bit better. It's crazy, man. This stuff lasts a long time. My wife got sick. She's the one that got me sick. Got sick 3 days before I did. She still feels like garbage. So
Yeah,
it is what it is. At least
yeah,
we had 3 days to chill.
yeah,
How about you? How was your
absolutely.
weekend?
Weekend was good, man. Weekend was good. Everybody in the family as well. My daughter's the one that's getting a little bit sick today, so she's home. Got to check her out a little bit later into to the doctor, just make sure everything is in order. But other than that, man, had a great 3-day weekend, and
Good.
it was good. It was
Nice.
good to take some time off from the market and just kind of relax. We got used to that in the last couple of holidays, right?
I
So
know,
we're
man.
mentioning. So
It's just keep getting 4 day weeks.
yeah, last week felt like forever. It was like the first 5-day week in a while. So yeah, it's back to normal after this. I think
Well, they had to
it's a
break us in
while.
slowly. Give us a 5 day week and then a long weekend to
Four.
think about it, and four
Yep.
days, and then we can get back into it.
Yep, absolutely. Someone in chat is asking, how's Peter's daughter? She is much better, my friends. Thank you so much for asking, and he appreciates all the comments and emails and
Absolutely.
messages you guys have sent him. So thank you for that. But she's doing much better, thankfully. So um, guys, let's get into it. Our gappers list this morning. We got a little bit of stuff in the green side of things here. Some names we're very familiar with: Roblox, Mara, Riot Coin. So Bitcoin up big as far as 8%, 7 and 5. We'll see if that looks any good this morning, but this is a good sign for Bitcoin. Some of the coin stocks are up here this morning. SI, I believe, is also a coin ticker, right? I believe so.
Absolutely. It's a
It is
bank that
okay.
holds Bitcoin, that holds crypto. Yeah.
Carvana trying to do something here, up 3.1 this morning. And of course, Tesla up big here, 2.7. We'll see what's happening there. And also Morgan Stanley, I believe, reports today. I'm not sure if they've done that already, but they're up 2.1 today. So a couple of stuff on the green side of things. On the red, on the downside, we have IQ, and looks like some, mainly a lot of Chinese tickers here: Neo, Futu, Billy, XBEV, JD, and IQ, all on this list, besides GS, right? Because GS is Goldman Sachs, which I believe also reports today. Everything on here, yeah, it is Chinese. So they're not having a good time this morning. We'll dive into that as well. Right now, as you can see, for the most part, last week we had a great day last week, guys. Friday, we had tons of stuff that was in play. We had Tesla continues to be very nice this morning as well, with tons of volume. Was great last week too. And then airlines, guys. We've been looking at airlines closely. Here was Delta Airlines last week. Again, they just been ripping. I'm taking a close look at today at American Airlines. If you see the last couple of days, they gapped up, did very well here, sold off and gapped and then pushed up again, right? So they gapped down and then pushed up again on Friday. So this is a very interesting pattern. I'm going to have these guys on my list today. I know they're not on our gappers list. They're not showing a lot of volume this morning, but this is a very interesting action that we've been getting out of American Airlines. So looking forward to see if we're going to get a nice breakout here at the moment. So yeah, guys, a whole bunch of stuff happening. We'll look at our usual suspects as well. A whole lot going on this morning. Let's go ahead and start. Today we're going to start with our gappers list. Let's start there. Let's see what's happening at the moment. I'm going to remove our stuff from yesterday. Control A, Control X, and let's see what's going on. We have NATI today, and this one, man, gapped up big on Friday. Didn't do a whole lot. Looks like just looks. I'm not saying it's a buyout, but looks very
Yeah, it was a proposed buyout. Apparently, the company pushed back on it, and so maybe that's why it's going up again. I think they're pushed back on it, wanting a higher price. So
oh, okay.
anticipating maybe a higher bid coming in, it's pushing higher.
All right, yeah, we can see here pushing much higher today, up 17.5. Again, guys, this news not again not all that great. Actually, that is great news because a rumor is not a confirmed buyout. Yeah, you could get a good action out of it. This stock is not the best one for this type of news, right? When we had Twitter and you saw the rumors, you kind of saw a similar situation, right? But going back and forth before everything was confirmed, and we had some good opportunities there. Some very volatile price action, though, I'll tell you that much. But we're just not seeing that type of volume with this one today. So again, I think it is in play. I think you can get some opportunities. Um, it's just not looking that great right now. And you guys know how this is. You got to be in tune with what the news is on this. You got to have a good news service that's providing you news, because if something comes out, hey, this is not going to happen, this is going to affect the stock very, very aggressively, so you got to be very careful with that one. We'll put it as a possible for now. We'll come back to that. It's up 17%. Could use better volume. Roblox this morning, man, up 15.7. So this is pretty aggressive today. Nice little breakout from the this 33 area they had. Do they have earnings or something?
No, they announced their growth and kind of pre-announced some revenues and stuff for last quarter. So popped them
Okay.
up obviously pretty quickly this morning. We'll see how it plays out. Give it a little bit of time.
Yeah, no, looking real good here, guys. I like the volume on it. I like the pop. So again, Roblox doing pretty nice this morning. We'll add it to our list. Again, when these guys are in play, they can trade very well. So yeah, definitely want to watch these guys. Next, we have a TCBP pulling up on our list here. Low flow at a 688,000. Again, just scary stuff, guys. Be very, very careful. It looks like it's just starting to pick up, so news might be breaking on this, or just overall madness on a possible squeeze here. Just be careful, guys. Very risky right now. I don't think it's worth looking at it yet. Be very mindful. All right, so now we have Bitcoin, we have Mara, we have Riot, we have Coin, all on this list, and they're taking a little bit too low for me here. Let's see. Okay, there goes Mara. So the Mara up 8.2 this morning, 2.4 million shares traded so far. So that's pretty good. I haven't seen Mara with that type of volume in the pre-market in a very long time. So I got to say that is interesting. Riot, same thing, 900,000. And then we have Coin here with also 600,000. Norm, what's the latest and greatest on overall Bitcoin at the moment? I like
well, it's been trending up, and it's up a good amount the last few weeks. Obviously, still a long way from the high, but some people have hope in it. So pushing all those Bitcoin tickers. We've got Mara, Riot, Coin, SI. So
Yeah, I like Mara this morning, guys. I think the volume looks very good. For me, it hasn't been a great ticker in a while. But they're trying to push higher, hopefully get it to a higher price. It would be nicer for us for the way I like to trade. But I like the volume today, 2.4 up 7%. And also Coin is a good one with a slightly better pre-market activity, also with some decent volume. Their daily both have been really, really nice, guys, here. Leveling off at Mara, $2, now at 8, which is much nicer. And then Coin at 33 or something, 32. And then also now at 52. So again, the rally on this thing has been pretty wild. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing there. Definitely will keep an eye on this. And of course, our buddy Tesla. How can we not add Tesla to our list? We'll throw it right on here. Insane volume as usual every morning. 4.6 million right now, up 2.5. Daily looks very, very nice for a possible breakout and continuation here, guys, above 125. We've been not struggling, but we've just kind of been hanging out here on a very, very tight range between 125. We're at the top of that now. Even right now, we're showing some struggles above this 126. And then the bottom of this range has been around 116, looks like. So Tesla looking very good this morning, guys, already, as it has been usually. Here's a garbage ticker, HKD. Just, again, I don't know why this thing is coming up here. Horrible. BTB, this is more garbage, guys. Again, I just don't see anything great here. You got volume 1.5, but this thing is just not tradable. Look at the daily. The 50th of December, there's been no volume on this thing at all, and it's been moving like this. I mean, just stay away from this, man. This is dangerous. There's no strategy that I know that you could trade this stock in, right? It's just, I don't know what trade book you have that can say, hey, this fits your criteria. I just don't see it, right? So don't look at that, man. It's just horrible. Morgan Stanley, we look at this 4 times a year. Today could be one of them. Pre-market earnings already reported or no? It says I'm not sure if they're released or not. Okay, so they're popping on that, guys, up 2.3.
They have reported they beat on the top line, beat earnings per share, missed on revenues a little bit. So
yeah. So again,
Same with Goldman.
Yeah. Oh, GS, right? GS. Well, no, GS was down, right? GS, yeah, GS taking a
Yeah, it's down.
now out of all the banking stock, I think this one or financial institution, whatever you want to call it, this is probably the worst one. I do not like GS at all. Very, very light
Yeah,
volume.
it can be tough.
It's probably the worst one out of all of these. Morgan Stanley's a little bit better, a lot better actually, but still not better than the other ones we saw last week. You know, Bank of America, West Fargo, they tend to get a little more volume, a little more volatility, liquidity as well. Morgan Stanley, again, it's in play as a possible for now. If it can get better, it is up 2.3 this morning. Let's see where that goes. All right, that covers our gap up list. I'm then going to look at Carvana. It's just, again, just pure garbage alongside BBBY. Let's see what's gapping down today. As I mentioned earlier, we got a smart one over on YouTube. We'll see. We'll give him a bye
I'll take care
there.
of that, brother. Don't
Yeah,
worry about it.
give him a see you later there.
Done.
And then gap down, we have an IQ here. IQ this morning down 8.2. I haven't traded IQ, man, in so long. We haven't really looked at it. It has not really been in play. And I think on a day like today, even though you have 1,000 shares traded, a million shares traded on it, I think I still want to go with something else. So let's see if we have anything good here. JD this morning, CJD, even JD looks a little bit better. Down 3.5, 166. I'm not sure what net is. Net is down 2.7, 108. Very light volume for the most part. Doesn't trade a whole lot. Not sure if it's a
Yeah, this is
Cloudflare.
Cloudflare. Not really seeing anything fresh this morning, so not sure what's going on there.
All right, so let's see what else on the Chinese side of things. We got XPEF. Again, they're all gapping down, but they're not really looking good though. Neo 2.3 has good volume. Billy, yeah, we're gonna come back to these guys. Again, I don't see anything that looks awfully great here or great at all. They look awful actually. So I'm not excited about any of these at the moment. Even with their gap down, maybe Neo, possibly a possible on Neo. We can come back to these. I don't see anything great at the moment. All right, guys, let's see what you guys like this morning. Let's take it over to the room. Norm, do you have anything you want to keep an eye on?
Just go to the room if you would.
Okay, you got it. Let's go over to the room here. Lucio, you're giving us Baba this morning. Let's take a look here. Baba right now. Yeah, man, it's been so interesting. Again, they continue to just push higher here. They had the gap up early this month, and they've just been just crushing it since then. Broke out on Friday here above this area where they had a little bit of resistance, and today they're up slightly. So could be interesting. And what was even more interesting is that look at all the other Chinese tickers that are usual suspect as far as Chinese stocks go, right? XPEV, Futu, Neo, Billy, even JD, they're all down, and this guy is just barely, it's just flat, in the green. So that could be very interesting. I like that. Let's put that on here. 508 right now. Volume is a little bit lighter, but they just been on a tear. So definitely want to have these guys on my list. Did Roblox sneak around you? No, we have Roblox on deck. No. Roblox chip.
We already discussed it.
Yeah, Roblox on deck, man. We discussed the first one on here, up 15%. Great volume. Definitely in play today. Let's take a look at Amazon, one of our usual suspects, AMZN. What we got here? Yeah, they got some volume. I mean, big day on Friday. I didn't realize how they ended Friday here. So big day on Friday. They're slightly up today. Yeah, could be interesting. They've been trading so well compared to the rest of our usual suspects. These guys have been on fire. AMD had a great. There was sometime last week. Was it Wednesday? Had an insane day here. That was fun. Today, pretty quiet at the moment. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. Same thing, very quiet. Running through some of our usual suspects right now. Pino is giving us Apple. Apple, yeah, Apple looks good, man. Looks good. I like the pop here we're getting. We were, not showing the entire range of this move this morning, but we were down at 134, right? Hit the previous day close at 134.76, and now we're up at 135 and pushing. So it's got a nice move here, slightly up, less than half or 8% at the moment. But looking good, especially after 8 a.m. here. Has a nice trending action. So Apple, we'll add that to the list. Microsoft downgrade. All right, let's see. Oh, they're feeling it this morning. Down 1%, 344. Again, I think today the stuff we have on deck is going to be slightly better. But if you've been watching Microsoft and if you trade Microsoft well, this can be on your list. I'm not a great trader of Microsoft. I usually prefer to watch something else. any other tech company that's moving well, I'll take advantage of that. But Microsoft is not my, it's definitely not my go-to, right? So I'm gonna skip on that one for now. But Chris, if you like this one, it is down quite a bit. It has okay volume, and hopefully that can get better at the market open. What is the downgrade to, by the way? What price are we looking at, and by who? Obviously, they are reacting to it, so it must have been somebody somewhat significant, the institution that's given them this downgrade. All right, what else? Sell from downgrade to sell from neutral. I don't even know what institution is that? Guggenheim, what? Price at 212. Okay, never heard of those guys. All right, Thor's in the building. Happy Tuesday, Thor. UBS. Oh, UBS was the one that gave them the downgrade. Was it UBS? Okay, yeah, I heard of those guys. Okay. All right, good. How about over on YouTube, guys? Fabio, West Fargo had earnings last week, right? On Friday, and look at the move. They capped down big. Look at this recovery on Friday. Just insane. I don't know about today, though. I really don't know about today. Their pre-market action is not giving me a reason for me to add them to our list, really. It's pretty flat right now. Volume is not there. But man, what a day they had on Friday. And again, these banking stocks are tickers that we look at, uh, 4 times a year, 4 times a year, because it's just when they have earnings, or if somehow some major news is happening in the banking sector, which doesn't happen often, because usually what the major news for them is going to be interest rates. And guess what? Once you affect interest rates, everything else is moving well with that. So we got other tickers to look at. So they don't get a lot of shine, a lot of play from our end. I mean, you can kind of tell when this is happening, right? Probably here, of course, last week. You can kind of tell when we look at these tickers here, right? Major stuff happening there. So very clear. In between these lines, right, of the quarter probably, or insane interest rate hikes, they're pretty boring. They're pretty boring. AMD's not doing a whole lot. New BC over on YouTube is pretty quiet right now, so I don't think it's really in play at the moment. So I got these guys to the side right now. So again, just not a whole lot going on right now. Amazon is good. We have those guys on there. Any thoughts on MULN competing with Tesla? Not sure. We looked at MULN last week, and it wasn't good. Yeah, it's a penny stock. So again, regardless of what they're doing as far as competing,
Tesla? Probably not.
yeah,
Can this become a company at some point that's worth something?
Yeah.
Possibly.
So what is it? AV company?
Yeah, it's EV.
No, guys.
I mean, though.
Yeah, it's tiny, and it's just for day trading period for me. I mean, it's a penny stock right now. It might not be a company wise, but it's a penny stock at the moment. So not tradable for the way I trade. All right, good guys. We got a pretty good list so far, guys. We have Roblox. We have Roblox coming down a bit. Oh, Roblox is wild, guys. Careful. You saw that 37.60 back up to 38 in a matter of seconds. I mean, this price action right now is wild. So be very careful. You got to wait for the market open on this, man. Mara on deck. Tesla, of course, looking good. We have Baba, Amazon, and Apple. So again, a whole lot looking nice this morning. Looking forward to this market open. Let's head over to our community events and announcements guy, 850. See what's coming up for this week. As we have a short week, we'll be making up some stuff along the way here.
Yeah, so instead of Monday night tonight, we've got onboarding with Carlos. That's at 7 o'clock this evening. Do that the special time because of the holiday. So be sure to check that out. Usually it's every Monday, 8 p.m., especially for newer traders. So be sure to check that out. Tuesdays, we have strategy. This week, we've got Thor. He's going to be talking about his book. So be sure to join him 8 p.m. tomorrow. And then the following week, Paris is going to be talking about tape reading and give you his insight that's really helped him out in his trading. So be sure to check that out next week. On Wednesday, we have psychology. We've got Mike talking about identifying what money means to you this week, getting over the mental hurdle of thinking about trading in terms of money is a huge thing to do to improve your trading. Following week, Randy Howell is going to be talking about keeping emotional control when money is real, another similar topic. Thursdays, we have our Thor is tonight. It is Tuesday. See? Thank you, Dwayne. Thor is tonight, 8 p.m. So you've got 7 o'clock with Carlos in the classroom, And then following that, 8 p.m. Thor in the meeting in the webinar room. So be sure to check that out. Thank you very much. See, it's Tuesday. I told you. I'm not
Just
on
when you
track.
got it last week, they try to mess with
Yeah,
you. Norm.
exactly. And they throw the wrench in the works. All right, 11 a.m. mentorship with John on Thursday, and then Thor at 8 p.m. on Thursday. TradingTerminal.com, where we are assembling a free arsenal of trading tools for everybody. So be sure to check that out. It's tools that people spend thousands of dollars a year for. Scanners, replay simulators, breaking news, the squawk, all kinds of great stuff. So be sure to check out TradingTerminal.com. Then, of course, we've got the live trading summit in San Diego, 2nd and 3rd of March. If you haven't booked it yet, be sure to book that ticket. 2-day event, live trading included. Dinner with everybody the first night, so check that out. You can link to it from the homepage or get to it at bearbulltraders.com/workshop. Go ahead and skip that one. PCT in full effect right now. If you're watching on YouTube and you have not been in the chat, you'd like to give it a shot, use the promo code WINTER50 to get half off the Elite Annual membership. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't been in the room, use the promo code PreMarket34 to get a discount off the intro membership. That's 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. And it's a one-time payment. It does not renew. You have to choose to become a member if you'd like to continue on and be building it. So,
all right, thank you very much, Norm. All right, guys, let's get to it. Let's build some levels here of what we have so far. We got a little bit of time. It's quite early, 8:53 so far, market time. We could take a look at some more tickers if you guys have something you want me to look at that has popped up in the last couple of minutes, maybe not on our list here. If I look at our gappers list, I don't see anything new on the list. Which I think is Unity Software, which doesn't trade very well, making some noise here, just getting on the list right now. Getting above 100,000 at the moment. But again, it's not a great intraday ticker. So I won't add that to the list at the moment. Yeah, I don't see anything else on there for the most part. It's pretty much what we had earlier today. So guys, if you haven't done so already, over on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it very much. It does help out the channel a ton. So thank you for that as we move forward here and try to build this nice show for you. Starting at 8 a.m. every Monday through Thursday, by the way, with Engineering the Markets with Jared. And then at 8:30, we start doing our stock selection with the pre-market show with Norm and I. So Cuba, you're giving us SAIC. I don't recall this ticker. Science application. Yeah, there's nothing about this that looks great. Yeah, they look very, very shady, man. Not shady as far as the company, but the price action and the day trading wise, right? I have no idea what this company does, which really doesn't matter. It's just the way the charts are right now, brutal. And as Norm, it sounds like you have some experience on this one, or at least have heard of it. They look like they trade very bad, so nothing to see there. Here we have a SoFi. SoFi, we used to trade this, man. We used to trade this quite a bit, actually. When it was higher price. Now down here, as it's been hitting $4, $4.50 this morning. I mean, it's just, look at this pre-market action, by the way. Anything that looks like this, very robotic, algo-like, I want no parts of. Even though they're trading 408,000, what you would think would look better than this looks horrible to me, right? Look how precise these. You know what this reminds me of? You guys remember, if you've been trading long enough, you might remember this. What was it called? It was was it 5 cent centric 5 cents? It was tickers that move in increments of 5 cents. You guys remember that? What was the name? What was the official name for that? If you've been around long enough, David from Connecticut, I know you definitely remember that. And they were trying to create more. Was it more liquidity or something? I forgot what the purpose of it, but that bombed, and they got rid of that. But it was tickers that move in increments of 5 cents, and I think it was 5 centric. I forgot the actual name of it, but I'm gonna have to look that up. This looks like that. It used to look just like this, just horrible price action. I would call yeah, I would call that a no. They had like 1 or 2 tickers that actually moved decent when they had major news.
Traders wouldn't want a bigger spread built into it.
Huh. Yeah, it didn't make it was weird. I don't know what was the whole point of it, but yeah, that didn't last. They got rid of that pretty quickly. Yeah, yeah, you definitely. I know you were around for that for sure. So yeah, this reminds me of that because they look just like this. A lot of their price action, even at the market open, look very, very weird. Delete from watch list. Yes, that should be the name of it. So yeah, SoFi not looking all that good right now, guys. Definitely not on my list today. Um, what else you guys like? What's Roblox doing? Roblox is wild right now, right? Yeah, and this is the 5 minute, and I could tell this thing is very wild. Let's look at the 1 minute just to give you a better picture. This is the drop we saw earlier. This thing went from 38. Oh no, what's it here? Yeah, we came from to 37.63. They shot back up to 38. This happened matter of seconds, right? So you got to be very careful with this one, guys. It's moving very, very aggressive. Um, Spread right now. Again, the spread goes from really good, right now 4 cents pre-market for a $38 stock is very good pre-market, but it drops. It drops quite a bit. So think at the market open, this is going to be better. So you definitely want to wait for that. If you are going to trade this now, I can't stress how good your risk management has to be, guys, on a stock like this, right? And give yourself enough room, because obviously you could be right, and that type of drop like that and back to where it was can take you out of the program. It was Penny Pilot Program. Yes, that's what it was, Nvidia. There you go. It was PPP, Penny Pilot Program. Yeah, that sounds familiar. I can't say I 100% remember that, but that does sound. The penny part doesn't, but the pilot program does sound like it. Yeah, yeah. It was very, very weird. Netflix, 3 upgrades today. Let's see. Not doing a whole lot, so maybe the upgrades are not that major for them today. Pretty flat, but again, they ran up quite a bit over the last couple of weeks, right? They've been going from in December 280 to back to this level where I think they closed the gap, right? Yeah, they closed it last week. They closed the gap here that they had a while ago, and not just the gap, guys. This thing ran down, I think, as much as the gap. They ran down as much to here. So they ran down almost the exact amount of their gap down. So this is a long way to come back for Netflix, and they managed to do that. They were leveling off at what is this 160? How far back did this guys come back from? Yeah, 166, guys, even lower, as you can see here. So this was a major drop for them. You can't just look at this here. That's the gap down. These guys went all the way down here. That's from 360 to 160, what, 5, and are recovered. What I think it took them a bit, almost a year, but yeah, that's a great recovery for them. Did not think they were going to bounce back that quick. So Netflix looking good here. Earnings on Thursday after the market. That was going to be a lot of fun to see how they're actually doing. So we'll look forward to that. Right now, I don't see anything great at the moment. Their volume is very light. So right now, it's better to keep off the list for the most part. Can we take a look at CLF? So CLF, I don't like the way this stock intraday trades. I think it trades horrible. And part of it is because the type of volume they get. See here, 14 million or less on a regular basis. So I think they don't trade very clean. There's been a couple of days where I've seen, not me, but you guys take some pretty good trades on this, where we got some news or insane volume. Outside of that, I'm not a fan of this ticker, man. So careful. Wait for them. You don't want to put too much weight on the pre-market neither. I think you have to wait for the market open to kind of see if it's going to really be in play. I like the daily. I really do. If I did not know how this stock trade, I probably would have added to my list, because the day looks great for a possible breakout. But I know how it trades, so I'm not a fan of it at all. JH is giving us SMCI. We'll take a look at SMCI this morning. Oh, no. Nothing happening here. No volume. Horrible daily too. Look at this daily. I mean, it's just all over the place, gapping up and down. Very wicky. I don't like stocks that look like this. See how big their wicks are? This is just, and then also the best indicator that you can look at, right, on a dead chart, because obviously you can't see how this actually traded, but the best indicator you could look at in the dead chart is going to be the volume. They get no volume, guys. This is 4.2 million here. That's 4.2 million. So you can only imagine what this garbage down here is. It's just no volume, right? For the way we trade, we need that volume to be able to read the price action properly, right? For the way we're trading. So without that, it becomes very, very difficult. It's more like you're gambling, really. I'll be honest. So I've been in stocks like this where you get in and the price is just sitting there and you're just gambling, because you have no momentum from what happened in the previous candles. right? There's no momentum showing you where the price action can possibly go next. So you want to gamble. This is it right here. You just get in and see where it goes because you have no edge whatsoever on which way this thing is going to turn. And that's the problem with stocks that don't have one a great daily and don't have good volume, right? You just can't read what the buyers and sellers are doing because there's just not enough of them, right? It's just a couple of people just going back and forth, and somebody's going to get stuck in the wrong side of things. And usually that's me when I trade something like this. So I don't like to give these guys my money. I'd rather go trade something like I have an edge on. Let's see Meta this morning. How's that going? Let's take a look at Meta today. Meta, I like the daily on Meta. Volume is okay, could be better. Pre-market action is not doing a whole lot, but yeah, I like the daily on Meta. Look at the last couple of days, by the way. They've been pushing up pretty nice here, right? So the last couple of days, even though they gapped down one or two of these, they managed to actually end the day green, and you can see they're slamming against this 138. Again, these guys have been beat up quite a bit, not just in the gap down, even before this. So they're starting to see some light here a little bit, so that could be nice. So many people think that Meta is gonna come back, and the reason is because advertising cost is gonna be so cheap for them. So you're gonna have a lot of people running to advertise with them, and that can actually start them up again, right? So that could be interesting long term stuff. But day trading right now just buys them a spot or possible barely at the moment. I don't see anything great there right now. So um the tick size pilot. See, that sounds, yeah, the tick size. There we go. There you go. The tick size pilot program. We're still searching for this name, but that sounds more like it. The tick size pilot program. It didn't go nowhere. The pilot program did not pass, that's for sure. All right, guys, 9:04. I see a couple of moderators with their list. I got Jerry, I have Susan with their list ready to go here. At the moment, let's take a look at what we have. We have Roblox doing some madness right here. Hopefully, this thing can be tamed at the market open and we can find some opportunities. Very, very careful with your share sizing on this one. Spread looks good, but the moves are still very aggressive, even now in the pre-market. Here's Mara. I like Mara today, guys. We're seeing some volumes that we used to see on Mara in the past, 2.7 million. That is the volume we like to see here. The last couple of days, really, they've seen a nice increase in volume, especially Thursday and Friday last week. I've been keeping this one off my list because of this here, right? Look at the volume. Just there's been no volume on it. But the last couple of weeks, we can tell here it's getting a little bit better. Also, the price under 5, I try to stay away from as much as I can. Above 5 is not preferable until we start getting to above 10, above 15, 20 is really decent, right? But I like this run we're getting here in the last couple of days. And I like the action we're seeing this morning. So it could be one on our list today for sure. Then we head down over to Tesla, which again, love the daily on Tesla, guys. Pre-market action already showing a lot of strength, up 2.3. Not that it means anything, right? This 2.2 here doesn't mean that we're just going to start crushing and head to 135. It could mean that. It just means, man, we're volatile. You can get some scalping opportunities on here. Be careful on the couple of first few minutes on this thing when it's the volume is just mad at the moment. It will come down and it
Did
can
have a
trade
number
much
of
better
analyst actions this
Yep.
morning.
on Tesla.
Yeah. I know B of A Securities got a neutral on them, revised their price target down to 130. Jeffries, they have a buy still, but they lowered their price target to 180. So couple of analyst actions this morning on Tesla. Hello, Carlos.
Sorry, was on mute there. So yeah, I was saying like Tesla a whole lot this morning. Baba looks good on the daily as well. Volume could be better in the pre-market. We'll see at the market open how that's going to trade. I have Amazon, one of our usual suspects, and also Apple, which Apple looks very good this morning, up almost less than 0.5% here. But again, the pre-market action looks very, very nice. Let's take a look at our SPY. What do we have going on here? SPY this morning hasn't kind of stuck in this range, hasn't really done much besides just kind of back and forth between 398 and 397. So really hasn't moved a whole lot outside of that range. Jackass says Meta will be king. Hey, I'm rooting for the guys. Hopefully they can. I like trading Meta when it was Facebook. Not so much now. But yeah, hopefully they can get their stuff together and come back here. I think they will. I think he will figure it out somehow. Hopefully he does it before he goes bankrupt. That's the key. Can he figure it out before he goes bankrupt? But yeah, many people are thinking that that is going to be a place for content creators to go to as the ads might start, heading back there. So we'll see. MS getting a big pop here, up 3.5 now. I do have this on my possibles list. It is in play today, guys, based on earnings. Why is it now on my main list? Just because, man, these banking institutions are just not great as far as day trading. So today could be their day. I think I could still trade something better than I can MS, right? So that's just the way I'm seeing it. But definitely in play today. If you like this one, definitely can have it on your list today. All right, guys, let's take a look at what the moderators have so far. So I have a few on here now. Let me go and resize my screen over here to bring this over to you. Over on YouTube, if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up. It is much appreciated as we get ready to wrap up our show here by giving you our moderators list. So we're sitting at 168 likes. We'd love to be over 200. That is kind of like our goal on each show. So if you could help us get there, that'd be much appreciated. All right, let's bring this over here and see what we have so far on our mods list. So here we go. All right, so let's start with, I think Jared is the first one on deck. Yes, he is. So Jared, he's looking at Mara and Coin. Also looking at Roblox. Big gap up today, guys, on Roblox. GS, and then he also added, I think he added Morgan Stanley as the price range is looking much better this morning. And then they are GS and Morgan Stanley both looking again for the way they trade this morning. This is like prime time for them. For the way they normally trade, this is very big movement for them. Susan will be looking at Meta and AMD. Secondary list Tesla and Nvidia. Thor will be looking at Roblox, Microsoft, PFE, CLF, W, which is Wayfair and Delta. Thor, your list today is a mighty long. I don't remember Thor's list being so long in a while. So he's got a lot that he likes this morning. And then that's it, guys. We'll wait for more moderators to throw out their list here. So I'm gonna put this to the side as we wait for that. We still got a couple of minutes left, so I'll keep looking at. Oh, here's Paris. Paris is giving us Tesla, Roblox, Coin, not Microsoft, Morgan Stanley, and Microsoft this morning. So he has those on deck. All right, so we got a couple of minutes. So let's take a look at some names you guys are throwing out here. So we have. I'm not sure if Brian is. The question is, Brian is still in Mexico? I'm not sure if he is. He might be. He might be traveling back.
I'm pretty sure he is. So
yeah,
I think it was a fairly long trip. I could be wrong, but I think he's still there.
Yeah, I forgot who on YouTube put the comment last week, just after we had logged off, that Brian is doing his annual tequila replenishment trip. I was like, that's probably exactly what he's doing. I would not be surprised. So that was a good one. Our Megan coming in with her list: Tesla and Amazon this morning. NVAX. So let's see what's going on with NVAX. I saw you guys throw this out today. NVAX here. What are we looking at right now? Pretty light on volume to begin with. I mean, the daily, maybe. Man, NVAX at $12. Man, these companies, man, I'm telling you, these companies, they come in, they just made a killing here, right? All this COVID stuff, they made hand over fist. Man, 300 and now back down to 12. It's just insane. But that's how things work. This is not a fun stock for me to even look at or trade, so I'm not gonna have it on deck, guys. Also, it's really not much that's sticking out saying, hey, you should watch this one, right? So I'm gonna stay away from that one. But yeah, it's madness. What else, guys? Roblox is good. NVAX, no good. Tesla, it's good here. Announced Cybertruck design is final in production this year. Yeah, I have my own. I have my pre-order. $100 pre-ordered it a few years ago. I'm waiting. So we'll see. I'm gonna drive around. I'm gonna go. The first thing I'm gonna do when I get is I'm gonna go pick up Norm. I'm gonna drive down to Texas, pick up Norm, and we're gonna go hit a bar or a nice BBQ joint.
No,
And then we'll pick up Megan. Actually, before we hit the
I'm
BBQ
not
joint,
being
we'll go
caught
pick
dead
up
in that thing.
we'll go pick up Megan first, and then we'll go hit the BBQ joint. I think
There you go.
that would complete the trip. All right, guys.
Megan.
I think we were on Steakhouse. Yes, we're all set here, guys. So far our list: Roblox, Mara, Tesla, Baba, Amazon, and Apple. Yeah, I think we're good. All looking pretty nice. Great volume at the moment. Got some good possibles here, like Coin very active. We'll see how that plays out. Also, I want to look at American Airlines. American Airlines to me is interesting. I'm gonna add it here. I think that one is interesting to me. Perfect. All right, guys, we are all set. Did we forget to do levels? I think we forgot to do levels. I did, and now I'm going to be under pressure here. So we'll do levels for a few here as much as we can. Let's start with Roblox, guys. Yeah, we did forget to do levels. 39.55 is the high of the pre-market. To the bottom, guys, we have such a big gap up that you got to get some levels between the high of the pre-market and the low of the pre-market, right? So we're going to go to the left here, and we're going to mark down 35, 36. We're also going to mark down here what seems to be 36.83. Above this 39, in case we're going to push higher, which the price action right now looks like it wants to go up there. Let's go to the left, and we'll nice level here, guys, at 41.50, and then all the way up here at 43.23. We can get some more, but I think this will be an insane move. We can get it above 39.55, and then towards the bottom, you got this 36, which is good level here between the highs and lows of the pre-market right now, and you also have this one there, which is covering this beautiful rejection you got there at 35, 36. So that looks good for Roblox. Definitely like this one today. Very, very active, but again, be careful on your share sizing. I have Mara, which again, I haven't put on my list in a while. I think today could be the day where they actually trade somewhat decent. They got insane volume, man. 3 million shares traded. They've been rallying here in the last couple of days. Pretty nice. 874 is your high of your pre-market. The low is all the way down at 795 for this morning. And then if you look at the bottom, you got the steps coming up here from the highs and lows of the last two trading days, right? So pretty much cover there as far as levels towards the bottom, including your previous day close. Let's take a look above this 874 on the daily. Nice level here over at 950, and then again over here at 1055. So you got two really strong levels in there. You can find some smaller levels in between here. I'm not going to worry about that just yet. If we get above 950, then I'll look to see, depending on how the momentum is, there might be some levels in between here that we can mark. But you got the two big ones, 950 and 1055 on Mara, if we can get going. It does look very strong right now, up 11.2, guys. And we got some nice volume on it. Tesla has been the beast. I mean, the stock of just the year, man. The last couple of months, really. This thing has been, and last quarter also, just on fire as far as the volatility, the increase in volume. Look at the increase in volume here, starting from September, slowly getting higher and higher. And then the last 30 days has just been absolutely insane. This morning already, 5.8 million shares traded, right? Kind of shows you how much volume we're pushing around. 126.27 high of the pre-market. Above this, we do have 128.56, and then towards the bottom here, guys, you have your highs and lows of the last two trading days. You have your previous day close as well, doing some levels. Only thing you need to really mark down is going to be that 120.72, which is going to be 120.60 actually, which is your low of your pre-market. Once you slam that there, you're pretty much set on Tesla. Let's take a look at Baba. Same thing here towards the bottom. Highs and lows for the last two trading days pretty much set there. I'm just going to mark down the low of the pre-market over at 116. Price action could be better this pre-market. I do like the daily, though. We've been breaking out nicely on Baba. Pre-market action could be much, much better, especially the last hour or so. Hopefully that can change as we get to the market open. To the left, looking above this high of the pre-market here that is sitting at 118.10. We are going to have some areas here going back to June, July, August timeframe. We're looking at 121 and then all the way up here at 125. This thing has the juice to do that, man. This thing has been moving very, very well. Was at 86, at 117. So moving to above 120 for these guys it's not a problem if they get the momentum. Here is Amazon. Amazon has been really nice as well the last couple of days, bouncing very, very nicely. Same thing with Apple. You can look at Apple if you prefer that one. 97.63 is the low of the pre-market here. Above the high of the pre-market, 98.85. That gives you a nice range there. And if we go back and look at above the pre-market high, a couple of levels here. We have a 100, which is also a psychological level you want to have on there. And then 101.09 is a good one as well. So two levels towards the top above the pre-market highs. And then towards the bottom, you got the highs and lows for the last 2 trading days. Really do not need to add anything else here. Amazon, good volume, 1.1 million right now, looking very nice. Let's take a look at Apple. I'm going to remove some levels, clean this up a little bit. Towards the bottom, low of the pre-market, pretty much slamming against one of the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. But the actual low is slightly below that at 134.15. We'll mark it down. And then the high of the pre-market, which we're trying to break, looks like right now, 135.66 at the moment. Above that, we do have 136.79. And then slightly above that, one more here at 137.66. So plenty of levels on Apple, looking really clean after 8 a.m. this morning. That's a very nice setup pre-market. Looking forward to see how that's going to react at the market open. Last on here is going to be American Airlines. Again, this is more of a possible for me, but I love the daily over the last couple of days, especially the move on Friday.
You're pretty optimistic to keep that on there.
Yeah, it's more of a possible. Yeah, I love the move on Friday. Had a nice pop up here, so we'll see what it does today. Does it have volume? So I'm actually going to move this down to a possible right now. So I just want to see what this looks like later in the day, right? So I think that's our list, guys. Roblox, Mara, Tesla, Baba, Amazon, and Apple are pretty much set for us this morning. All right, guys, that is what we have. You already have your moderators list over on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate it very much. Last opportunity to hit that thumbs up. Sitting above 235, so thank you guys. Appreciate that. We're going to head into the room, Norm and I, and continue live trading there this morning with Andrew and probably Thor, Paris, whoever's going to join Andrew on the live trading this morning. So guys, take care, trade safe. We will see you tonight. Onboarding class, remember, not at 8. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern time, the onboarding class at 7 p.m. And then after that, we'll have our webinar at 8 p.m. Eastern time as well. So take care, guys, and trade safe.
Yep. Take care. Trade safe. Have a great day, guys.